Let's start with a very simple poll, just out of curiosity. May I just ask you to raise your hands if you're here because your first child, son or daughter, is going into secondary school next year. Can you just have a show of hands? Almost everybody, just small pockets here and there. You're either too shy or it's not your first child. But either way, welcome here. All right, I'm pleased to be here to share with you this whole mystical creature known as secondary school. But don't worry, while there are a lot of things that goes on in the secondary school, predominantly it's still about giving your child the best education to do well, not just for the exams, but also in life. So let me get started on this. I'll be talking very quickly first about what secondary school education covers, all right, in terms of the landscape, in terms of the various things that are in place, the programs, and what we really focus on at secondary school, as it says here. Preparing our students for life. You do know that secondary school is a very special phase. Secondary school education is a very special phase of life because how you do and what you do can determine the paths that you can take subsequently. Of course now, in the last, say, 5 to 10 years, there's been a lot more done to provide multiple pathways for success. And even the definition of success has changed slightly over the years. So I'll be sharing more of that with you. And then I'll talk about some of the mechanics, the technicalities about admission into Secondary 1, and finally some useful resources for you to do further reading. So first, secondary school education, it's really about this phase of life where our kids go through a very special phase called adolescence. It's when they begin to grow up, assert their independence, and also want to explore a lot more about the lives, about the interests and talents that they have. They will also need to develop a broad range of skills. Skills like teamwork, skills like critical and creative thinking, skills like leadership in order to do well in a post-secondary education, whether it's a poly, a JC, or eventually university. Also, there's much more choice and flexibility to meet the different abilities and interests. And that's our job as a secondary school to provide. And lastly, we want to prepare our students for various pathways at a post-secondary level. To support social-emotional development really is about relationships. It's not about programs, it's not about a syllabus, it's not about textbooks. So this is the part where our teachers play a very, very important part. I'm sure you agree with me now for your child in primary school, you realize the importance of the teachers. And in secondary school, it's not any less critical. Our form teachers do a lot because they don't just support them in terms of teaching and learning, but they also have to manage when the kids feel very anxious, very troubled, very stressed about peer relationships, about exams, about even BGR, for some of them. And they play a very important role. They spend, you think about it, our kids spend almost as much time in school as they do at home, sometimes more. So the only adults that are there for them are the teachers. So strong teacher-student relationship is something we focus a lot on. Using my school as an example, typically, you see one class, one form teacher. But in recent years, because of the luxury of more teachers, we have been giving every form class 2 form teachers. Because you think about a class of 40, 1:40 may not be enough. So now we have 2 form teachers for a class of 40 students. Effectively, 1 form teacher can take care of about 20 students. Educational and career guidance is also critical. And even for some, you may think that, oh, you only need to know about Poly and JC at Sec 4. Actually, no. You need to know it as early as Sec 1 and 2. Why? Because at the end of Sec 2, the students need to make a choice about the subjects they want to offer at Sec 3 and Sec 4 and take the exam at the end of Sec 4 for their O-levels. And the subjects they take then therefore determine what courses they can take at the Polytechnic and JCs. So therefore, the decision-making may start as early as secondary 2. And so therefore, educational and career guidance is important, not just for the kids, but I think also for all parents here. Learning is also not just taking place in the classroom, so you will see that even in the secondary school, we still continue to provide experiential learning activities in the form of learning journeys and outdoor education. Recently, just one Saturday ago, I spent a whole morning with some of the parents in my school. We went through a retreat to think about the kind of programs and experiences we want for their children, our students, and what outcomes they want to see at the end of secondary school. I was expecting the parents to tell me, it's okay, I just want my kid to do well in the exams. It's okay, I just want my kids to go to a JC. But surprisingly, all the parents there told us really what they want is for their child to be able to fulfill their dreams, to have the confidence to do so, and to be motivated to continue learning and excelling in life. And that's very much about this, character, citizenship, and values. Because without those, no matter how clever you are, you don't have the right values, you don't do the right thing in the context of a society, you don't know how to work in teams, it's very difficult to survive in today's world. So this is pretty much a very big block, a very big component about education in secondary school. So we have this thing known as CCE, Character and Citizenship Education. All right, this term looks new, but really is very much what we've been doing all this while. You already see in the primary schools, we are merely extending and strengthening it in the secondary level. CCAs, in some primary schools, is still not compulsory, although all kids are encouraged to participate. But in the secondary school, it is more than ever a critical component of the secondary school experience. I think many of you would have gone to secondary school before. If I ask you about what you remember, I'm sure it's not about the classroom lesson. It is some of these experiences that you have during your CCA time. Okay, it used to be known as ECA, right? My time and probably your time, but now it's called CCA, co-curricular activities. So let me start talking a bit about the multiple pathways. Okay, in today's Singapore education landscape, there are many, many different kinds of schools. And I think for you, and even for me sometimes, it can be very confusing. So let me just break down into a few categories for you to have a sense what are the differences between all these different schools. So this slide gives you a quick summary. You have this program known as the integrated program. Some of you may know of it as a through train, okay, but we call it the integrated program, and I'll explain why. It's about 4 to 6 years leading to the A levels or the equivalent diploma like International Baccalaureate, for example. What it means here is that the kids who take this program will skip the GCE, N-level and O-level exams. They do not take that at the end of Sec 4, but they continue and go on to the A levels or the equivalent diploma. The majority of the students will still go to the express course, which is what you and I know, the 4-year Sec 1 to Sec 4, at the end of which you take the GCE O-level examinations. There are also students who prefer to take a more applied approach, right? A more hands-on type of learning, or they want to take a longer time to prepare themselves for the O-levels. Then we have the GCE N-level exams for the normal academic, which leads on to an O-level in Sec 5, that's for the normal academic course. And for the normal technical course, these are those who are clearly more suitable and they prefer a hands-on learning, and that leads to a more vocational track, for example, in the ITE. So that's the normal technical stream for our kids, also 4 years. Since a few years ago, we made the announcement, and starting from next year, we will have a new school known as Crest Secondary School. That one is a school specially provided for NT students. So there will be no NA and no express students in that school. And what they provide is really very much linked to what is being offered in the ITE. A lot of applied learning options, a lot of ITE type of modules. We also have specialized schools. Specialized schools are those with very specific talent. Or as a parent, you realize your kid is really has a very strong interest and passion for a particular area, and you want to develop that further. So you can see here in this list, you have a few. The NUS Mets High School of Mathematics and Science, so that one is affiliated to the NUS. You have the School of Science and Technology, not very far from here, also in Clementi, that focuses on the use of ICT to learn and to excel. School of the Arts, that's the one near Bras Basah, next to Cathay. School of the Arts, as the name implies, focuses a lot on developing arts in our students. And lastly, the Singapore Sports School in the Woodlands area. And we also have children who are very much inclined towards hands-on practice. These are the ones who find that they cannot cope with the mainstream programs. So we have Northlight School and Assumption Pathway. Right? Northlight is around in the east, and Assumption Pathway is along Upper Bukit Timah Road. So a bit more about integrated programs. Okay, it's known as an integrated program because it integrates the secondary and JC experience together takes away the very stressful exams at Sec 4 and spends more time developing certain skills at a deeper level, whether it's a research skill or collaboration skill or international experiences. And that's for those students who are clearly earmarked for university. So I need to emphasize that it's not suitable for every child, because we know some of the children would prefer to make a choice only at Sec 4 after they finish their O-levels. Based on their results, they will decide, oh, maybe a poly education is what I really want. And maybe some of them still want to go JC. That's fine. But there are those who are really very clearly earmarked for a JC because of their inclinations, their preferences, their strengths. So for those, they can offer the integrated program. They don't have to take the O-level examinations, and they can enroll in this integrated program either at Sec 1 or Sec 3. Okay, so depending on the admission criteria of the various schools. Starting from this year, actually, onwards to next year and so on, you will have more and more schools offering integrated programs. So the latest announcement in 2010 was that 7 more secondary schools would be offering the integrated programs. I'll show you the names in a minute. But the idea is this: we do want to nurture the top talent. Very often we talk about differentiated learning, differentiated instruction in schools and in education. But to provide that differentiation, we cannot always do it in just one school. So now what we're doing as a system is provide differentiation across the different types of schools. So these 7 secondary schools, along with some of the existing IP schools, will therefore be able to better cater to the top talent in these areas, specific areas. Okay, there are also dual track mode in many of these schools. That means you have some kids who are in the IP program straight away. There are some of the kids that are still in the O-level program, but when they improve over the first 2 years, let's say Sec 1 and Sec 2, and they find that this is what they want to do, they can transit over to the IP. And vice versa. There are some Sec 1 and Sec 2 in IP, realizing later they would rather take the O-levels, they transit back to the O-level track. These are the names of that schools, the new schools that are coming up. Victoria Cedar Girls will be offering it. I think they've started this year. And they'll be feeding the students at the JC level to Victoria Junior College. And Cat High, Catholic High, CHIJ, St. Nicholas Girls School, Singapore Chinese Girls School will be feeding the students to a new JC, which will be announced later on. Methodist Girls School will be tying up with ACS Independent to offer the integrated program. And then St. Joseph's Institution will do it on their own. They will extend it to a 6-year program. And then Temasek Junior College, currently they offer only at Sec 3, going on to JC 2. So now they're going to move it downwards and start as early as Sec 1. That means even for your kids, yes, for your kids, they can apply this year and they will go into Sec 1 IP at Temasek JC if they wish to. The express course, as I said, is really what caters to the majority of students in Singapore. 4-year course, O-level examinations, and you can see a whole lot more subjects compared to primary school. Okay, we were just talking earlier with some of the other speakers, and we're saying that it is really quite an anxious time moving from P6 to Sec 1 because the number of subjects will suddenly double. But not to worry. I think secondary schools are very aware of that. Again, using my school as an example, what we do is that we adopt a modular system. So between geography and history, for example, we don't make a Sec 1 kid come in and learn geography and history all at the same time. So what we do is, for example, in the first semester, they first learn about geography. Only in the second semester, when they finish the geography syllabus, then they do history. So in that way, we space it out. So the same between design and technology and home economics. So in the first semester, they may learn design and technology. Only in the second semester, they learn about home economics. Okay, so not to worry. Schools are very aware of that, and schools will usually pace out the curriculum so that it will be less stressful. The normal academic program can spend 4 to 5 years, depending on where the child wants to go after Sec 4, after the N-level examinations. The 5th year is for those who are clearly still interested in going to a JC or to a polytechnic. They usually stay on in the same school to offer a 5th year leading to the O-level examination, together with the Sec 4 Express students. The last point there, I think, don't just apply to the NA, but really Express, NA, and NT. I think in recent years, we've loosened up really the flexibility between the different programs. So an Express may move to an NA if they cannot keep up. Similarly, an NA can move to Express if they found that it is found that they really have the talent, the potential, and also the ability to cope. So what's new is, what's new also in this program, in the NA program, is in recent years, we've also given the NA students a flexibility to offer O-level subjects. Again, in one child, we also don't expect the child to be equally good or equally bad in all subjects. And again, taking my school as an example, we realize that some of the kids do come in with very strong interest and strength in the mother tongue languages. So what happens is, while they offer the NA level for all the other subjects, we give them O-level mother tongue, O-level Chinese, Malay, or even Tamil. Similarly, maths. There are some kids who are no good in the languages, but they're very strong in the maths. So while they're in the NA stream, we still give them O-level maths, and they don't have to do the N level. So this is what is allowed under the current system. So you may have a kid at Sec4 registering for a basket of N-level subject and a basket of O-level subjects. So that's usually what happens now. And of course, to support these NA students, where most of them will want to go to a polytechnic, we want to give them a lot more poly-type experiences. So we have what we call the elective modules and the advanced elective modules, which is based on very real-life topics such as, you can see here, 3D modeling and animation, hospitality and tourism, media production, and so on. So usually very practical, very hands-on. And I can tell you, this is the time where my NA as well as the NA students come alive. They really enjoy these modules because they're also offered by many of the polytechnics. New, all right? These are very new programs that have just come on recently. In a way, I always tell my students this year and coming on next year that they're very lucky because there's now further opportunities for them to go into a polytechnic. The first one is known as the foundation program at polytechnics. So what happens is this. Previously, a Sec4 NA student needs to take the Sec5 O-level exam in order to apply to a polytechnic. So with this foundation program, they don't even need to go to Sec5. If they do very well, usually that's about the top 10% of the NA cohort. When they do very well at the N-level examination, they can apply straight to the polytechnic, and instead of doing a Sec5, they do a foundation program at a poly. So the foundation program will not make them do subjects like humanities and mother tongue language, but focusing on modules they will need in the first year of their poly education. So that's a great advantage for these NA students. The other one, for the next 20%, the higher NITEC to the polytechnic, are for those who want to go to a poly but may not qualify for the foundation program. So they will take the higher NITEC route at ITE, and then they will get direct entry into the polytechnic. The purpose, as you can see here, provide more pathways, make the fifth year of the education more productive. Instead of studying the same subjects, study something that will be directly relevant to the polytechnic course. Okay, and we of course want to strengthen any progression into post-secondary education. I've explained this pretty much earlier, and this will happen from next year onwards. That means this year's NA level students, when they finish the exams, they will have a chance to apply for this program. Okay, so now we are looking at 1,200 places in the foundation programs per year. So the requirements are fairly stringent. Students will need to get at least a grade 3 for each of the subject, if not better, in order to qualify. Okay, the NITEC pathway I mentioned earlier goes to the poly through the ITE. But ITE has two types of program. At the lowest level, they have what we call the NITEC program. These are mainly catering to the NT students. The next level is the higher NITEC program. The higher NITEC program is already halfway between the ITE NITEC and the poly program. So it already has a certain level of rigor, a certain level of competencies being built in. So students who take this from the NA stream, they move over to the higher NITEC. They're actually also being prepared for a poly program. So what they have done now is to offer direct entry. Direct entry means that you don't have to wait until you finish your higher NITEC and then apply to the poly, not knowing whether you can get in or not. What happens is it's based on your grade at the higher NITEC. As long as you score well at the higher NITEC, you are given a place at the poly. And in fact, as it says here, your GPA, if it's very good, you can even skip 1 year of poly. I think that happens, if I'm not mistaken, for the engineering program. So if you think of A, B, C, D as the grade, if a student scores B+ on average for the engineering program at a higher NITEC, they can skip 1 year and go to the second year of the engineering program in a polytechnic. And again, that's a very huge advantage for the students. And so now today we tell our kids, in the NA, it doesn't matter if you're not in the express stream, but if you know where you want to go, the road is there, the path is there open for you. So this diagram summarizes what I've just spoken about, that today there are so many different pathways. Traditional pathway is what you see here. From the 4-year NA course, you go to SEC5, then you can apply either to ITE, to NAFA, LaSalle, JC, or the polys. But what is new, you see here, you have this one. This is also current. This is new. Direct entry scheme that it can go to the polys. Okay, and this is new as well, the 1-year foundation program. So flexibility is there. Now the choice is left to the students to work based on what works for them. The normal technical course, more simplified, not as complicated, because I think the kids, when they go to the normal technical stream, they already know they are more inclined towards hands-on learning, and they are preparing themselves to the ITE. Okay. Some flexibilities, similar to the NA students offering O-level subjects, we also allow NT students to offer NA. So again, in my school, I have students offering NA level mother tongue or NA level mathematics. So that's perfectly possible. Upper secondary NT students may also take elective modules. Again, it's one of the key features in the NT program to give them the exposure to what is being offered at the ITE or even in the industry. So some things we do, for example, will be like automobile repairs, pastry making, hospitality, and so on. Lateral transfers to the NA course, that is the flexibility between the streams. What I see in my school, on average, we have about 3 to 5 students each year who can transit from the NT over to the NA because they perform extremely well and they're willing to work hard in the NA stream. We also have some schools that have very special programs for the NT students. They are known as the NT Mark II schools. Okay, Mark II means an improvement. They offer enhanced modules. They actually have IT lecturers stationed within the school to provide these very special modules. The 3 schools I know of are Siling Secondary, Shuqun Secondary, and Bedok Town Secondary School. As I mentioned, there will be a new school offering programs just for NT students. So the first school to open is Crest Secondary School, admitting up to 200 SEC1 students from next year onwards. There will be another one opening, if I'm not wrong, in Woodlands, opening in 2014. So by the end of next year, students who apply will also be able to get in. What is different about it is that there's a closer link into ITE. So in terms of the curriculum from ITE, they'll bring some of it into the school to give the students in that school a good experience, a more related experience that will allow them to transit to ITE easily. Okay, just a picture of Crest Secondary School for you. Right, very nice school. I got to admit, it looks even better than a typical secondary school. The language programs. Okay, this is where it gets a bit complicated. The simple rule is this: every Singapore citizen will have to offer English and the mother tongue. Okay, even now some of foreign students, they also need to offer 2, but we'll see what is their mother tongue language. But typically every Singapore citizen will have to offer 2. The majority of our students will just offer English and then Chinese, typical standard Chinese language. But there's this thing known as a higher mother tongue, higher Chinese, higher Malay, higher Tamil. These are really for students who have a very keen interest in offering Chinese at a very high level, or mother tongue at a high level. And it's also tied in with this bicultural studies program. Okay, there are a few schools that offer this, and usually these are in our integrated program schools. The bicultural studies program offers, in addition to the higher mother tongue subject, they also offer higher Chinese history or Chinese philosophy or Chinese literature. So these are the special programs for those who have very strong interest and keen to develop along that area. You also have the elective program in Malay language for secondary schools, the IMAS program. These are offered students who take up higher Malay. to deepen the understanding and appreciation of the language, culture, and history. So it's, again, a specialized program for those with a very strong interest. I think it's Bukit Panjang Government High, Anderson Secondary, and Tanjung Katong Secondary. They offer these programs. The National Elective Tamil Language Program is offered at the Uma Pulaba Tamil Language Center. So that one is where the students go down, but they also go through a very good experience learning about the culture and history in Tamil language. Foreign Languages Program, okay, as you can see here, a lot of options given here. I'm not going to go through in detail because I don't expect many students to offer that. So you will know whether you're eligible when your child gets the PSLE results. Usually they will indicate what you can apply, what is eligible for you to opt for. And also many details are given in the MOE website, so you can always check it out if you need to. I've talked about languages. Art and music is another aspect where we provide some special programs, some special schools to offer that. Besides the School of the Arts, which I mentioned earlier, there are also many mainstream schools that do offer these special programs. So we have two programs known as the Art Elective Program and the Music Elective Program. These are tailored for students who already know they want to offer art or music up to the O levels. And it's at higher level. So higher level art, a higher art or higher music at the O levels. 4-year program, very rigorous and goes fairly in-depth. But of course, we know not every student wants to offer higher level art or music at Sec 4. There are some who just want to pursue their interest, want to learn a bit more, and they don't want to lose touch with it. You still have the Enhanced Art and Music Program, EAP and EMP, which is a 2-year program for upper Sec students inclined towards the art and music. So you can see here a summary of all the different paths that are available. Okay, there are many, many institutions available here, and I've covered a fair bit of it. Okay. I think this is important to spend a bit of time processing, you know. I mean, today we can just give you an overview, but do take a bit of time to think about it in the context of post-secondary level. Typically, when I meet Sec1 students as well as their parents during orientation, I always advise the parents, start thinking, do you think your child is more a hands-on person who would like to learn in a poly, or someone who's very studious or want to go into research or become an academic and wants to go to a JC and subsequently university? If you do seriously think about how to develop their strengths. Because some of these strengths will make a difference when they go to Sec 3 and then later on after the O levels. So do think about that, process this, okay? Now I'm going into the technical details about admission into Sec 1. Okay, there are two ways of getting admission into Sec 1. The first, for majority of our students again, the Sec 1 posting exercise. Okay, that's what happens after you get the PSLE result slip. Okay, when you get the result slip. But there's another exercise that takes place actually around this time, started as early as June and just coming to an end soon this month, which is the direct school admission into Sec 1 through a special talent. Okay, I'll just cover that in a minute. The Sec 1 posting exercise, when the results are released in November, you're going to get this Sec 1 posting option form where you can indicate up to 6 choices. 6 choices for a child to go into secondary school. And these 6 choices are decided whether your child gets in the first, second, third choice is predominantly decided by the PSLE T-score. Submit your choices either by submitting a physical copy of the Sec 1 option form or online. So you can send in the hard copy or you go online and just fill it in. Okay, online is much faster. So what happens is by August, again around this month, some schools may have already gotten it, a distribution of the Sec 1 posting booklets first to give you a sense of the process and what is available, the kinds of schools. And in October, you will get the posting booklets with the information on the specific secondary school, school by school, okay, from letter A all the way to letter Z. Okay, you will find all the schools in there. They will describe to you what is the vision, mission of the school, the location of the school, special programs, subjects offered, achievements and strengths. So it gives you a very good overview, you know, what schools you want to look at, which are the ones near your child, near your home, which is convenient to get into, which has special programs that you want to develop a child in. So in late November, you get a PSLE result slip. Straight away, you fill in a Sec 1 option form, and by late December, usually just after Christmas, okay, around the Christmas period. Just after Christmas, you get it, then you report to the secondary school in the last week of December, where the principal will say, okay, welcome to the school, the orientation program is this, you need to get the textbooks and uniforms. Direct school admission takes place around now. What happens is that we have schools here in the secondary level that admit students based not just on PSLE. All right, I say not just because it is taken into consideration, but the predominant factor is the talent. We have schools that are strong in different areas. Using my school as an example, this year my school was awarded the niche program status in hockey. So that means I have the discretion to admit students under this exercise in the area of hockey. Okay? So this one, as I mentioned here, each one based on requirements and criteria, talents in science, music, and sports. So besides mine, which is in sports, I know of schools which are good in performing arts or visual art, and there are schools strong in robotics or uniform groups or other areas. So you need to know what they offer from their school website, and then you decide whether you want to apply. And then you will go through things like audition, skills test, portfolio, interviews, and so on. It takes place around June to August. In fact, we are coming to the tail end of the exercise. So if you are still interested, quickly check out the MOE website, see which school offers DSA, and then see whether the application is still open. So as I said here, selection phase takes place from late June to August. By mid-October, they will have to indicate their school preferences. So let's say your child wants to go into DSA for art, and there are 3 schools which are strong in art, which offers DSA. Your child can go for all the auditions in all 3, but they have to make up the choice by October, mid-October, before the PSLE results come out. They have to decide, I want to go to school B. Okay, you have to stick with school B. Okay, results come out in, the PSLE results come out in late November, and then you have to see whether the child qualifies for the course in that school. So let's say B offers only Express, but it doesn't have NA and NT program, and your child does not qualify for Express. Let's say the PSLE T score is 165. 165 cannot go to Express, so your child cannot go into DSA for this school. But let's say school B offers Express, NA, and NT, and your child gets a score of 165, normal academic, so still can enter the school. So the DSA will work, will come take effect. But what it also means, once a child has committed to any particular school at the DSA, he or she is not allowed to change schools after the PSLE results come out. So you cannot say, oh, I changed my mind, no, now I got a score of 270, I want to go to school A instead. You can't, okay? Not with the DSA. Okay, useful resources for parents. A lot of what I've said, is really just the very broad overview. We have time for Q&A later. There's also a tea break. Do feel free to ask more questions. But really, a lot of what I've said, the details are available in the MOE website. A lot of things about programs and what schools do are available at schoolback.sg. It's an online blog. And then, of course, there's the MOE Facebook. And lastly, of course, your goodie bag. All right, I notice each of you have this very nice goodie bag there. It contains a lot of brochures and a lot of resources, which you can find valuable information to tell you about Singapore education system. Okay, so with that, I finished my presentation. Thank you very much.